Hey GED students, it's GED question of the daytime. Take a look at what we've got here. It says write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So there's my directions. Write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that runs through the points 1, 2, and 3, -4. So I'll just remind you that you don't have to memorize the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, but you do have to know how to work with it. You don't have to memorize it because it's on your GED formula sheet. If you look it up, it says that y equals mx plus b is the equation of a line. So don't need to memorize that in slope-intercept form. But you do need to know what to do with it once you've got it. So you've got to know that right now in this form right here with all letters, the way it's written, this is the generic recipe for any line. Basically, if you have a y value equal to some number of x's plus or minus a number b, then it will draw a line. That equation will have many, many solutions that all connect to draw a line. That being said, if you want a specific equation of a line, you are going to need to replace m with a number. What number? Well, the slope. M stands for slope. And you are also going to need to replace b with a number. What number? Well, b we use to stand for the y-intercept. So the place where your line crosses the y-axis. Now, this is our fourth video in this series, and in the first few, our life was pretty easy. They told us the slope. They told us the y-intercept. The GED is not a super straightforward test. I don't expect a lot of easy problems. I expect something more like this, where they don't give us what we need. We need to write the equation of a line, a slope, and we need a y-intercept, and yet they gave us neither of these things. Instead, what they gave us were 2 points. We know 2 points on our line. So imagine there's our line drawn in space. They gave us a couple of random points on our line. So how do I go from that to that? Well, you got to do 2 things. Okay, you got to find m, and you got to find b. Once you do those 2 things, you are ready to write the equation of a line. So when they give you m and they give you b, it's easy to find them. You just point to them. There they are. But when they don't give them to you, you got to do some work. So let's do the work. The first thing I said I wanted to do was find m, the slope of the line. Now you might be saying, Kate, I don't know how to find m. Well, I hope you know how to find the slope of a line when given points. In fact, we have a whole full-length class video on that. It's so important. But that's another formula from the formula sheet. There is a slope formula. So again, you don't have to have it memorized, but you do have to know when to use it. So go take a look at your formula sheet, and the slope formula says m is equal to, so to find m, y2 minus y1, all they mean there is the change in y's, how much did y change by, over x2 minus x1. The change in x's. So we'll subtract our y's to figure out how much our y values changed by. That's the rise. Okay, and then we'll subtract our x's to find out how much is our x's changed by. That's the run. You've maybe even heard slope called rise over run. Okay, so let's do it. So remember that, let's go ahead and call this first guy 0.1. It actually doesn't matter if you call that one 0.1 or 0.2 as long as you're consistent. So since a point is an x and then a y value, this will be x1 and y1. And if we call that 0.2, then that will be x2 and y2. Okay, so I want to take my y2, my second y, -4. And from it, this formula says 2 minus the first y, and my first y is 2. So -4 minus 2, and that should be all over the second x. The second x is 3 minus the first x. The first x was 1. Okay, so again, I'm just taking y2 minusing y1, and then x2 minus x1. Wonderful. And now let's do the simplification here. Now, good news, if you had this on the GED, you would have your TI-30XS calculator, and you can actually type this entire expression into your calculator to simplify. But I'm going to do it by hand because it doesn't take me long. So -4 minus 2. I'm already in debt $4. I go down another 2. I'll be at -6. And then 3 minus 1 is 2. And now you should simplify this fraction if you can, and I sure can because -6 divides evenly by 2. I get -3. And so I have a slope of -3. Now careful, they didn't say find the slope. Remember what they said. Let's backtrack. They said write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So we said to do that we need to know the slope, but we also need to know the y-intercept, the b. Now there's a couple of different ways to find this. I'm going to go with my preferred way. If you know another way, good for you. But how I like to do it is to start with y equals mx plus b. And plug in what I know. Well, right now I know the m. I had just figured out the m was -3, so I know that. Now I don't know b. That's what I'm looking for. But I do have some x's and y's. Remember that a y value and an x value can be found in a point. And so I could use either one of these 2 points. Let me erase them because they got a little messy here. I could use either one of these 2 points because they're both an x and a y. And you say, well, which one should I use? They'll give you the exact same answer, so use whichever one you prefer. I like this one with no negatives, so I'm going to use this one. So then this 2 here will be my y value, so I'll plug in the 2 for y. And this m, we learned, we found our m over here. It was -3, so under m, I'm going to write -3. Now m and x are shoved together. That means they're multiplying, so I'm going to multiply that with my x value right here. For my point is 1. And this b, I don't know what it is, so I leave it b. But do you see how all the other letters got plugged in this formula? If you plug in all the numbers and you only have one letter left, b, you can use it to solve for b. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my equation of a line to solve for the b that I need. So let's go ahead and simplify first. -3 times 1 is -3. And now it's time to solve. Get b alone by isolating it. So I'm going to move over a -3 by adding 3 to both sides. And I get that b is equal to 5. So now I know my b, my y-intercept. I know my m, my slope. I have everything I need to write the equation of a line. So let's go back. The equation of a line in slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. To turn it from a generic into a specific, you need to fill in your m and your b. Well, now that I know what they are, I can. My m is -3. My b that I found was +5 or +5. And so the equation of my specific line is y equals -3x plus 5. And I realize this is a challenging problem for a lot of students. This is done. This is the final answer. And so I highly recommend that if you struggled with this, you go and watch the entire full-length class video on writing equations of lines, and you practice this a lot because this is one of the GED's favorite subjects, equations of line. And I need you to get to the place from, to go from the place where it's confusing to the place where it's second nature. All right. So if you have any questions about this or any other GED math concept, be sure to drop it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it.